Welcome to episode 1 of Chat Sith Get Banged. Is it a podcast or is it? I don't know. I don't know what. If you put it on YouTube, does that mean it's a podcast?
No, I think by that point it's just a video. It's like a webisode.
What is it? A show? A show.
Chat Sith Get Banged podcast thingy.
Welcome to our new podcast. Is it a podcast? I don't know. I'm not going to call it a podcast. Just call it a show. The new Final Fantasy TCG show brought to you by Team Calamity. I'm your host Tom Hall, and today I'm joined by Calamity's finest, Mitch Lander.
Hello.
And Rich Mason.
Hey.
Hey. And I wanted to say, actually, we were meant to start this episode with an interview with Peter Sherratt, so Team Calamity man, who's just won UK National Championships, but he did sell us out and has gone on the Crystal Tower for his interview, so we haven't got it, so never mind. Alright, so our first feature for today is called the Ronso Rage, and this is a chance for us to get something off our chest that's really pissing us off or making us angry in this game. Rich, you have suggested our first Ronso Rage, and I believe you've gone for Final Fantasy VIII. It's a very broad topic. Do you want to start getting angry?
Yeah. So Final Fantasy VIII is probably one of my favourite Final Fantasies, and the thing that disappoints me most is the severe lack of love that we're getting for the Final Fantasy VIII category in FFTCG, and I'm convinced that Square has something against it. Either that or they're saving it for like Opus 15 when everyone else has already quit the game. But just the severe lack of disappointment that none of the cards seem to stick. The biggest annoyance for me is the fact that the main searcher for the category also bears the same name as the best card in the category. So whereas in Opus 3 we had the beautiful FF9 engine where you have the Steiner that searches the ICO, that searches the category 9, and this very fast-paced kind of mechanism, I could kind of forgive them because water's meant to be a fast element. But then they gave Ice the same thing using Setzer, Gestalian Empire Sid, and access to Category 6 forwards. And I'm just thinking, why wouldn't you have done this with FF8 and given a different tutor to a different name to the tutor than the best card in that set?
I think that's what annoys me a lot about it as well, because it doesn't have to have the same engine as the 6 engine with all the searches, but to literally call it, to have Renoa, and the forward Renoa is so strong, you can play it in a lot of ice decks even without the 8. And then the searcher to be Renoa is just pointless because you can't use it. You need to have the forward Renoa in any FF8 deck you're doing.
Yeah, you sacrifice the best card in the category to have the consistency of searching up other parts of the other parts of the deck. But the thing that annoys me the most is that the vast majority of forwards in the category 8 are combo cards. So if with Kyros, if you control Laguna, or Laguna that does Dull and Freeze, if you control Squall, like they're all combo cards. So the way that you add consistency to combo decks is to be able to search them with a tutor, and by doing that you have to get rid of Renoa because she's the best damn card. It's horrible.
I also find, I'll talk about it a bit later, but because actually Kyros was one of my favourite picks from Opus 6 spoilers we've seen so far, and one of the main reasons is because it got me excited that actually maybe Final Fantasy VIII was coming back in. But actually the rest of the stuff we've seen is maybe not so exciting. I particularly like Selfie. Again, another card that actually gets used within Fire, the current Selfie. They put a searcher in for Selfie, that's okay, but then it can search seed candidates, and you immediately get excited until you realise that the seed candidate you want to search, i.e. Squall, is not actually a seed candidate, he's just a seed. And none of the others are seeds, they're all seed candidates.
Yeah, it's a complete lack of foresight in card design. Instead of really only giving you a small number of search targets that exist at the moment, unless we get more in Opus 6.
And you don't really want to search for them anyway, really.
The other really horrible thing is if you consider that with Final Fantasy VI, we've had, is it 3 Kefkas? The backup, the legend, and the hero that gains brave and plus 3,000 power. We've had 3 Kujas for Final Fantasy IX. We've had 1 Ultimecia, and that was in set 1, and she's completely irrelevant now. So, just more proof that Square hate Final Fantasy VIII.
Sometimes I feel like the things they do are just to just to dig in further. It's like they've made an obvious choice to make Rinoa Searcher just to piss people off, and then this seed candidate thing, I think it's just them just having a little dig, just to make people angry.
Yeah, somewhere in an office is a man rubbing his hands together, laughing as we rage.
Can you imagine? I can imagine like Kageyama submits the card, and then the printer just changes something, I think maybe school originally was a seed candidate. Then he put it through for printers, and then some guy just crossed off the candidate, and he's like,
or it's like a translation error or something.
Yeah. Mitch, you're very quiet on this. You don't really care for Final Fantasy VIII anyway.
I mean, I do like 8, and I don't like any Final Fantasy really getting like dicked over by card design. But the set hasn't been fully released yet, so I am sort of almost expecting a Legend Final Fantasy VIII seed candidate. Maybe it'd be a Squall or a Legend Cypher or something like that, just to make it a little bit more playable. I do like the Zell. It offers something which is a Breaker 2-drop monster, which Fire sorely needed. But the rest of the cards, as you've both said, are like piss-poor versions of better cards, like Quetzalcoatl or however that's pronounced. Why would you not just run Cyclops? I can't imagine any deck that would prefer this over Cyclops. I just think they're bringing out cards that would have been great in Opus 2, not in Opus 6, whatever we're on now. So I said I'm just not seeing the love, like you guys are, not seeing the love towards Final Fantasy VIII yet.
So we're all in uniform agreement that Final Fantasy VIII is the category that's been dicked over most. And the fans, I think the most important thing is that the fans of the series have been dicked over the most.
Yeah. It is my favourite, and I'm trying ruthlessly to play them every week because I just can't put them down. So this port needs to be good in this new set. We shall see. But yeah, I think to call time on this Ronso Rage, I think we're all accepting it's a viable source of anger. Okay, this segment is called Haste Takes. This is where we take a topic, and our guests have 30 seconds to talk about the said topic. It's a hard 30 cut-off. Who's going first?
I will.
Rich? Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Yep, so your first topic is the state of fire. Go.
The state of fire is close but not quite there. We are going to be getting cards coming this set that are now pushing fire into a stronger kind of state, and we're getting things that we've never had before, like Guy giving all of your forwards activation, and we've got finally an actual tutor in Selfie, so I feel like they're starting to equip fire with better ways of keeping up with the other elements, and it might just be playable in Opus 6.
You had 3 seconds to spare there. Not bad.
I can't think of any more points that I could get done in 3 seconds.
Are you timing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Mitch, are you ready?
Give it to 45 seconds and then I'll be ready, yeah.
Alright, so yours is a fire theme as well. It's one word. Ject.
Oh, Jet. Me and Rich have tried this before, trying to make this card work, and I tried a double boost Jet just to play into it. It didn't work then. I doubt it would work now. It's just too slow. You've got the 10 searchers, but there's nothing to protect it, and there's not even enough named Jet cards, so I just can't ever imagine it working until they bring out something that supports it. So,
because that's 25 seconds. You did well. Maybe we need to shorten it to 15 seconds.
I mean,
No,
you could have saved yourself 25 seconds and just said Bane, and then the conversation's done.
Yeah, I mean,
I like
there's many things that stop Jet. Bane's just one of them.
I do feel
miss
bad
him
because Jex and Auron have taken down. Well, Auron took Sin down twice, and he's got really crap cards. And Jex is like the big main baddie.
Well, Jet broke chapters before. He had a S ability that activates all your cards, gives them haste, I think, and can attack again.
Oh, nice.
So
maybe he's coming.
No, they won't bring that card back because he actually did break the game.
But maybe that's why he's slightly nerfed. All right. Anyway, we digress. That.
It was a different Jet, so it might be coming out in a new set, something similar.
Rich, your next one.
Yeah.
This is quite a long introduction, so just bear with me. So Forden, the new spoiler, can search any card, is an EX burst, and draws a card when he leaves the field. Is that broken?
I don't think Thordan is broken in terms of his actual effects, because the second part is borderline irrelevant, because there's not very many ways in which you can break your own backups and put them to the break zone. The first part of the effects to search anything is unbelievably strong, but on a 5-cost backup, that's a degree of balance there. The only busted thing about this card is EX Burst, because if you can search your deck for any card to win the game for free, having taken a point of damage, that's a little bit unbalanced.
That's 30 seconds. I don't think it works if you're timing yourself, because I think you're doing too well. This is supposed to be a challenge.
You want to cut us off?
Yeah, and you're supposed to be struggling and just sort of chatting crap and having a hard time of it, but you're doing too well.
Yeah, that's quality content for the listeners, by the
way. Okay. So Mitchell, are you ready? This is leads on nicely from the Fordan talk. This is should we get rid of EX Burst?
Absolutely not. It's what makes sets the game apart from other games. For example, take Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're ahead and you've got the board, you've pretty much won. I mean, on Yu-Gi-Oh! You can just kill them straight away, so it doesn't really matter. But EX Bursts stop that sort of thing. So, for example, Blitz Ace, when you had 6 damage, you were always worried about that, and I like that in a game that even though you're pushing a game, there's always something that can actually save you.
Yeah, stop. Yes.
There we go. There you go. You got to cut someone off. Are you happy now, Tom?
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's what I get for not timing myself on that one.
Right, so this is the last one I've got on my list. By the way, I got that EX Burst one off the community pages in Facebook, so that wasn't just me whining about EX Burst, because I think they should stay in. But I've seen that come up as a topic of discussion, so I stole it.
So it's someone else's whining
was whining about it.
Someone else's haste take. I'm better.
I won't name him James. I can do,
but Sam.
So yeah. So the next one, you can both chip in on this one, because this is a question for me, because I don't actually I don't know anything about this. So the last one is, what is Type 0 and why does it have so many cards?
Rich, this is all yours.
Oh god. Type 0 was a game that was originally made for PSP, and then Square decided to give it a HD retexture and charge people £50 for the privilege, so it was never in anyone's good books from the beginning. It has so many cards because Square Enix have fallen in love with terrible Final Fantasy games and is trying to ram it down the throat of the next generation console enthusiasts, and they're really trying to push it, hoping that it would desperately get some sales so that people can go pick up pre-owned copies from their local game and earn them a little bit of money.
Bang on, fair. Oh, yeah, you're timing yourself, aren't you?
I'm timing myself.
Yeah, so, next time, there's going to be no timing. Because, well, thank you for that insight into Type 0. And
I think that was okay.
Back in Square a bit.
Yeah, it was very truthful.
No, I mean the segment. I mean the haste take segment.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you.
It was my idea, but thank you.
Thank you. It was your idea. So the only good part of this podcast, that's not a podcast, didn't actually come from me. So thank you, Rich, for saving some quality.
You're welcome, community.
All right, let's talk about Opus 6 and some spoilers. We've seen a lot of spoilers. Best thing to do, I think, is everyone to pick their favourite card so far, and then we can discuss. So I'm going to go first. And my favourite pick is Kyros. Fires 2 CP. When Kyros enters the field, choose one forward you control other than Kyros. It gains 2,000 power until the end of the turn. If it's a category 8 forward, it also gains haste, first strike and brave until the end of the turn. I think this is cool, and that is because I really like the FF8 cards that are already in existence. Mitch, hit me with how much you hate this card.
It's not great. I mean, if Final Fantasy VIII becomes a thing with fire and maybe ice or lightning, I mean, I can imagine it could work well with something like Cypher. So then if there's going to be a new Cypher, which I imagine there will be with all the support to go with it.
So we have seen a new Cypher already.
Yeah, but no, that was a shit one. I'm talking about a good Cypher. So if they bring out a good Cypher, then you've got the Rajin, is it? And then there's going to be a Fujin, and like they'll both support Cypher, I presume. And then you can give this one. This one will give it haste, first strike, and brave, even though it'll already have haste and maybe even brave or first strike. So maybe it is still shit.
Rich?
What do I think of Kiros? I think he's okay. I think every set you're going to get a nice 2-drop common in fire that does something that's quite unique and can potentially, work its way into the competitive thing. Like we had Sank when we had the Type 0 to force things to block, and now we've got Kiros. So as you say, there's a lot of synergy with existing cards at the moment, but I'm more excited to see how that will sort of continue with Opus 6 and what new cards we get and whether there's sort of any interesting interactions.
Yeah, because we've seen a lot.
Probably won't be.
Well, we've seen a lot of 8 already, so it could be that there's a lot of good 8 coming. Drop the 8 part of it. Just having the enters the field gains 2,000 power. That's a straight pointless play. So this card is dependent on the 8, or do you think it could see some play? It's sort of like a fiery, hasty sort of quick play deck, jumping in, giving a small forward, like a Tifa haste, give her 2k for her second attack.
Yeah, but you never play Tifa for her power. Like
so that's what I mean. You play her for a quick strike, and then next turn you've then got a Tifa you can bang in a Kiros. She now gets an extra 2k boost. Is that something you could see people playing with this Kiros?
No, this would almost always go in like a Final Fantasy 8 deck, yeah, just because you're losing so much from not having a Final Fantasy 8 forward being chosen.
Yeah. Rich, you want to go on to your favourite? I think you went for Garland Legend.
Yeah, Legend Garland, just because he innately seems quite powerful because he's on curve, he's 5-drop 9k, but the conditions of his power are so easy to fulfill if you control a job princess. So if you have in Fire Water, you've got Clairdy, who I think's a princess, you've got Ash, who is a princess, you've got Avelia, who is a princess, that all fits into that kind of knight synergy. And then if you're going Water, you've also got Steiner, the Legend, and the Searcher for the FF9 engine. You've got Beatrix. So there's a lot to be said about all of those forwards having Brave, which I think is really, really strong. But the 2 S effects I think are just dumb. I just think they're stupid. Like Blaze, if you're to cast Brynhilda, you're paying 3 CP and it's costing you a card in hand, so it's going to cost you a pseudo 5 CP. You can get that same effect from Blaze for 3 CP. Like, that is unbelievably strong. And we've argued till the cows come home about whether Brynhilda is playable or not, and it's because of the efficiency of stuff like Blaze that I don't think Brynhilda is playable in the slightest.
So let's just jump in here quickly. So Garland is 5 CP, 5 forward. He's a knight. If you control job princess and job knight forwards, the job princess and job knight forwards you control gain Brave. He's got 2 specials, Blaze, 1 fire CP, and obviously the special card of Garland is choose 1 forward, deal it 7k damage, and then his second special is Round Edge, which is a 2 fire and 1 whatever you want. Choose 1 forward, break it, deal 5,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls.
I think it's got immediate use in the top effect, but the longer it's on the field, like, the more of a threat it's going to be. And if you can draw into that second copy and be set up to AoE them, Round Edge can just be completely devastating. So if you were playing Firewater and you had Minwu on board, you could play the 2-drop bomb from Final Fantasy Tactics of, he becomes, I think you pay 1 fire, becomes a forward with 4,000 power, or 5,000 power, and put him in the break zone and deal 4,000 damage to all forwards. You've got Minwu, so you don't care about taking 4,000 yourself because it becomes 0, but you deal 4,000 to all of theirs, and then you Round Edge, and then you've just done a 9k AoE board clear. Like, that is abusive. That is absolutely abusive. And the fact that he doesn't have to dull for the cost, so if you're playing against Ice and they're playing Vayne, you don't care. You can special through it. And I just think that is an unbelievable sort of option for Fire to have.
All right, so should we move on to Mitch, your pick?
Yeah, okay. So my favourite card so far, at least, is the 2-drop Wind White Mage. The one where when White Mage enters the field, choose 1 card in your opponent's break zone, remove it from the game, and then you pay 1 and put White Mage into the break zone, choose 1 card from your opponent's break zone and remove it from the game. The reason I like this card is literally because it stops certain cards from doing, like, stop certain cards being played. So if you come up against a mono water deck and they go to play Lena, they will have to think twice, because as soon as you choose an ephemeral summoner or a knight or whatever you want to choose, they'll see that white mage and be like, right, they can pay one. It can be dull, so it doesn't even matter. It can just pay one and break it and then remove them from the game, and they've just dropped a 5-drop 7k and you're laughing because you've just literally had it. That's the best case scenario. Or they just never play the Lena because they know they won't get value out of it, because that's what you're going to do. So it's a sort of bit like Legendarith, I feel, where it's going to be strong, but you never see how strong it's going to be. Unless your opponent like struggles and has to throw out a Zemus, and then they go to choose one and then you just remove it. But I think it's going to be a strong card, but again, as I said, you're never going to actually see how strong it is unless you see both sides of the game.
Mitch?
I'm going to be the unpopular one and say I think it's trash. Just on the basis that Wind 2-drop backups are sorted and I don't see them changing at any point in the future. Is it better than Archer from Opus 1, the backup breaker? No. Is it better than Hero Riku? No. Is it better than Oracle? No. Is it better than Archer, which is the combo piece for Barbarisha? No. So for me, although it may or may not be a decent card, it just doesn't have a place in Wind decks because the old backups are so good.
But so you went for Archer first. So in, like, for example, a lot of cards currently are ones you don't want to choose. Like you've got your Dadalumas. I've seen a few people running the Trays, the Ranger, just basically to counter the mono ice decks. So what really? So like you won't be targeting an Aerith or really a Minwoo or anything like that. So what would you break with your Archers now? I can't really think of
power boosters. All the power boosters are three drops. Stuff like Lebro, Enocros, Waka. They're always like really, really good breaks. And if you're ahead, it really, really disrupts their comeback. Okay. I still think that Archer's ridiculous, and especially if you're based on a ping. In a ping deck, that you 100% have to have it because a Minwoo will pretty much ruin the matchup.
Does this not work well though? Because you're going to remove this to get off his effect. You've got to remove White Mage into the break zone anyway, so you're freeing up your space again. Archer's a breakable backup, so you're going to be freeing up the space. So this can just slot down when you need it, do its job, and then move on.
Yeah, the speed of the game, it's very rare that you break a 2-drop backup and then actually replace it. A lot of the time you break it out of desperation because Mono Ice is curb stomping you.
This might be a nice time for me to interject, actually, and just to mention that Team Calamity does have an Opus 6 spoiler, which is coming out very soon. Is it the 6th of July, so like the day pre-release starts? But we do have a spoiler. I think we'll be putting it on our Facebook page. Is that right, Mitch?
Yeah, we will be.
So what's that? Team Calamity FFTCG on Facebook. It would be very awkward if it's a 2-drop wind backup, but I will say more. You have to wait till the 6th. So I think we'll move on. Before we finish on our Opus 6 spoilers, obviously speaking to Peter earlier, I asked him what his favourite spoiler was. That's Peter Sherratt, UK National Champion 2018. He chose the light one, Herzvigerd, which is going to tell us how you pronounce it based on
Heroesvelgir.
Heroesvelgir. That's the 6 CP light forward. When he enters the field, select one of the 3 actions. Skip your opponent's attack phase in their next turn. Remove the top 5 cards from your deck from the game. The second one is choose one character in your break zone, add it to your hand. And the third one is remove all the cards in your opponent's break zone from the game. Without going too crazy, because we've talked a lot about Opus 6, initial thoughts, mine were initially that this was really cool. I was like, oh, well, this is amazing, you can skip their attack phase. And then the more I thought of it, I was like, well, actually, that's rubbish, because it's not going to do anything, because I'll just play loads of forwards out. I thought it was like a proper potential like win condition. You can stop their attack phase and you get 2 attacks, but that's not going to work. It's probably more if you're really behind. You could probably save yourself another turn, but then you're going to lose anyway. So actually, from initial excitement, I'm thinking this is actually not going to be that good because you're going to have to pay 6 for it as well, and you're going to be behind anyway to even play out anything. Mitch, go for it. Tell us how bad this is.
It's quite bad. I've said before that I think this card could literally have a Minerva effect, whereas at the beginning of your main phase 1, choose one of these effects and do it, and it would still probably not see play. But as you said, the skip your opponent's attack phase, why would you?
Well, it sounds exciting at first, and when you first think, you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It's like a paradise, light paradise, but it's not at all, is it? Because what are you going to do from that? they skip their attack, and then they're just going to play out loads of forwards, which are going to screw you over the next turn anyway.
It's less like paradise and more like when you go on one of those shitty holidays and you go, oh, is that my hotel?
It's like going on a cheap Thomas Cook. You think you're going to paradise and you get there and it's all like building site and someone's pissed in the pool and stuff.
It's actually like, as I said, that skip your opponent's attack phase, the only reason you'd play that is because you're behind, and then you're removing the top 5 cards of your deck from the game, so you're even more behind. Congratulations, you've just thrown the game then. Why not just play 2 3-drops and like actually maybe bring yourself back into the game? Choose one character from your break zone.
You sort of buy yourself a turn, but then you've paid out 6 to buy it, and then you've just wasted all your advantage. You're back. You're behind again. So if you probably just drop off and dull it anyway. So you're screwed.
If you look at it like in terms of card value, so if a draw is 2 CP, you're basically using 16 CP to stop your opponent's attack phase.
Nice.
And it's like, and I'm not for that really. The choose one character, that's nice that you get something back. So you're ideally looking at a 4-drop 9k, and then you get to choose one for your special. But I think that's so situational; it's not that great. The remove all cards from your opponent break zone, I do like that quite a lot because it stops a lot of stuff from happening. But I don't think it's worth playing it just for that effect. I think there's going to be a lot of better cards that you can just run, and as we've seen with Varn, that while it's a nice card when it works, a 5-drop is expensive to run multiples of, so a 6-drop is not going to be any easier.
I like it. I think everyone who smack talks it is wrong. And I think you won't see the beauty of certain things that this card can do until someone physically shows you how to use it.
I'm going to have to interject here, I'm afraid. I did lose you on your last point, Rich, because my neighbour's just gone into his garden to water his plants without any... He's like wearing just pants. It's really thrown me. So I think we're going to move on from Opus 6. On that note, I think what we're getting is everyone's quite excited to get lots of new cards, new Opus, but it seems a lot of them are going to be dependent on what else is in this set, because stuff looks good at the moment, but we don't really know how it's going to interact unless we've got some new features that are going to support them. And no one's even talked about the cards that change characters' hands and all stuff like that, where you take control of other people's forwards. So
that was a toss-up. I did like Shuyin to be it was either White Mage or Shuyin was going to be my favourite card. Just because
it's another one of those things where it's not gonna you don't realise how strong it is or how useful it's going to be until someone shows you. Until someone makes a YouTube video and says, "Oh my god, look at this insane play," and everyone all of a sudden thinks that it's the most broken card in the game.
Yeah, as I said, like because I ran Water Lightning previously, I had the power reduction, so you reduce something's power, like an Orphan or something like that. Take control of it with Shuyin, fan for it. Lovely. Thank you very much. I've just won the game because you've lost 2.
Nice.
I said I actually love the idea of this card. How good it will be, I don't know, but you'd have to pair it up with like power reduction or something like that. And at the moment, I think we could even Bismarck something and just reduce it down and just take control of it. I think it does need like combo pieces, but I am a big fan of this card.
Yeah, but Mitch, I'm going to have to stop you because you did pick White Mage. So
okay, my bad. Yeah. I had my chance. I did have my chance.
You had your chance. You picked White Mage. There's plenty of better to back up CP and win. So okay. You blew it. All right, we'll move on. So this is our last segment for today, and it's called the Cosmo Memory. And in this section, we reminisce about a card from the past, maybe an opus that's been and gone, maybe something that was good at first and is now crap, or something that maybe was never very good and you wished it was. What have we picked this time? Mitch, we've gone for Ultimecia.
Yeah.
So nicely ties into our Ronso Rage. Do you want to start talking about Ultimecia?
Yeah, so this card actually got me into the game because I saw Joseph's original deck, I think it was called Save the Queen or something like that, which was based around the Ultimecia. I had originally built the deck just to see what it was, and that's what really got me into the game. Obviously, then you use your like clouds, and I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, so I was very into it. It's in Opus 1, it was a absolutely monster of a card. I genuinely could not praise it high enough. And then Opus 2 came around with the Al Cid combo, and then I don't think it's just ever seen play since then. And I'm just sort of upset about it because it was what I rated it so highly and loved the card so much that is just a bit disheartening that it's now garbage. I think if it was ice or something that you could dull it to stop the Al Cid combo, then it'd be alright, but even then it's not great. So I don't know, I don't know what they could do to make it good, or they'll just bring out a new one maybe.
Rich, have you ever used Ultimecia?
I think like me and Mitch, there's two cards that every time a new set gets released, we always go back and play them. And one of them is Ultimecia and the other one is Legend Juna, because they're cards that we're kind of intrigued by, but they're just so unplayable. And every set we get our hopes built up that there's going to be a new Ray of Light and this card might be really, really good. And then it gets dashed after, a couple of weeks of playtest and we realise it's just not possible. So yeah, we've played the card a lot. And it's really disheartening that it's something that it was around for one set and it saw success. Like if it was trash from the beginning, then you never really feel its loss. But because it was so good at the beginning, it's just become less and less relevant over time. It makes it a little bit harder to swallow. And I'd say it's really disappointing because it's a legend, and you never like seeing poor legends. And it's also the fact that it's a favourite, a personal favourite, but it's obviously like a favourite of a lot of other people's as well, that just has no presence in the game, essentially.
Yeah, because I only really started playing this at the end of Opus 4, so I'm still quite fresh and full of hope and exuberance when I look at all the old cards. So I remember seeing this one, and I was like, this looks really good. And so I've been chasing them down, and I finally got my full playset of Ultimecia only recently, and I remember saying to Rich, I've got my Ultimecias, this is going to be good. And he's like, no, it's a terrible card, it's just, you won't enjoy it, you think it's good and it'll just get removed too quickly. And I was like, no, you're talking rubbish, I'll prove you wrong. And I gave it a go, and yeah, basically that happens every time it comes out, it's gone pretty much straight away. So yeah, it's a shame. It's quite a nice card as well to look at, but I agree,
yeah, the artwork's beautiful.
Yeah, should be ice.
I think the really difficult thing about it is that if you were naturally ahead in the game, it could be really strong because you're on the aggressive, and they're going to try and play blockers, and they're going to come in dull, so it's going to take them a turn to actually be able to get anything out of the card that they've just played. However, if you're playing Ultimecia at a 5-drop 9k, the likelihood is that you're not winning the game. Unless it's maybe like Zodiac followed up by Ultimecia or something, to kind of slow their recovery down.
Okay.
Yeah, this card's, I feel like, is a win more card. Like if you've got the board and then you drop this card sort of needs to be removed first, because otherwise they're just going to be so slow to recover that they can't. They've lost the game by then. But then the game has such high removal now that normally you don't really have time to have cards like that in your deck. You need cards that will actually give you the advantage, give you the field. Like you need to play in wind, you need to play, in ice, you need to play like your Genesis, your Orphan and stuff like that. So because they give you an advantage on the field, Ultimecia offers nothing straight away, and it's just going to get removed, and it's just not, it's just 5 CP, and then you've lost it, and you've just wasted a turn basically. And that's what it feels like playing this card. Is a waste of a turn, which is really upsetting.
I mean, it's deeply upsetting for me because me and Mitchell actually got to live the dream and play it while it was actually playable, whereas Tom's come in like 12 months too late, and he never got to live the dream. He never got to see how, how useful the card would have been back in the day, back when there were less answers to it and stuff like that. So I feel bad for you, Tom. You have my sympathy, buddy.
I mean, this is a bad time up. The deck I actually built into this, but the only time I used Ultimecia, the idea was to Blitz Ace Tidus, and it was also my first experience of Blitz Ace Tidus, and Blitz Ace Tidus had straight into a Leviathan EX, and so it was a doubly negative experience for me. Ultimecia and Tidus. And
we should just remove EX Bus from the game.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
Oh, we've come full circle.
We've come full circle. So I think on that note, we'll say farewell to Ultimecia. Maybe we'll see her again in the future. Well, that's quite good, isn't it? It's like a time compression theme as well. So maybe we'll see her again.
Ooh, spicy.
Nice. So yeah, that is everything for today. If anyone is still listening, thank you for bearing with us. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back again next time with more Ronso Rages, Cosmo Memories, and maybe something new. We're hoping to get the UK National Champion Peter Sherratt on as well, and perhaps he'll come on and actually join us this time rather than going to
pop us off.
Yeah. But if you want to follow on all things Team Calamity, you can join us on YouTube. It's Team Calamity FFTCG. There's some old content on there that Rich and Mitch used to do, and we've got new stuff coming.
No.
Maybe
Sorry,
for a while. Maybe someone else will take a come in. You can come on Facebook as well, which is Team Calamity FFTCG as well. So feel free to come and send us messages and stuff. Maybe you have an idea for a Ronso Rage of your own that we can take on. There is also a Twitter which has just been started. That is at Calamity FFTCG. So get involved, come say hello to us, and you can also join us at Calamity Comics in Hatfield if you want to come down and play if you're near the London or Hertford area, and that's Friday nights where we play each week. Other than that, until next time, do you want to say bye?